Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend and you're ready and set for the week. So first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about, we've got a lot of guys now that have opted in to do the 21 Lite, and I greatly appreciate that. I think you're going to see lots of results from that. And today we have actually Bill, who's a very successful advisor, who's actually been doing that for a while now, and I thought he could kind of share his experience um, with how that works with clients, with new people, etc. So Bill, when you've been doing the 21 Light, what kind of experiences have you been seeing?
Well, it's been really positive because one of the things as an advisor, every year when you review the client's portfolio, it becomes almost mundane. And when I think of the robo advisors out there and how they're charging 40 basis points, I kept saying to myself, how do we compete, and how can we look ourselves in the mirror and say, I'm an advisor, I'm responsible for somebody's retirement over 30 years, and there's all these things that you have to do, including managing their money, obviously putting them into good insurance products and annuities, but what good is that if they can't have access to their money? And so what we started doing is actually going through this once a year with every client, where we go through every account that they have. We put who the power of attorney is, how old is it, and is it on file. We look at every IRA or qualified account, whatever. We look at who the beneficiaries, who the contingent beneficiaries are. Is it per stirpes? So when we go through this routine with our with our clients once a year, I ask them about what's the importance of this, and how is this important, and reiterating some of the things that I've learned in the 21-point checklist is that if we don't catch this and do it right, bad things can happen to them, and always ending up with, what kind of an advisor would I be if I didn't go through this process with you every single year to make sure that everything is in order. And so much so that I'm doing it on my own trust account. I found a successor trustee that's no longer in our lives that I have to go down and make. I mean, it would have been a big problem. Now, if my wife and I and the first trustee, successor trustee, but the third in line was somebody we haven't seen in probably 10 years, and I didn't even know it was in there. And everything's from '06, our power of attorney, everything. And everything from what I've learned, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't even do it on myself.
Well, the one thing that you said, Bill, that I greatly appreciate is the fact that, if all we do is provide an investment advice, I mean, that's everybody can do that, including robo advisors. And I mean, that really, I think, hits the head on what we're doing here, is that we're trying to provide value to folks that nobody else is providing value. And because if all we're trying to do is say that we're better, Bill, you've been doing this a long time, is there really any investment advisor, any money manager out there that's got to figure out that's the best advisor out there? Got to figure it out.
Absolutely not. In fact, I have a newer advisor. He's been with us for, well, I would say about 6 years, and he's on a mission to look for the best. And he's looking at 3-year, 5-year track records, and he's like, this one's not good. And he was driving. He's kind of the engineering kind.
Yep.
And I told him, stop. I said, at what point? Is it a 10-year track record? Is it a 5-year? Number one, do they add value to the client's portfolio? Okay? And just stick with it. You're never going to win. Focus on their goals and focus on what the money is intended to be. Is it intended to be left to the heirs? If it is, then maybe an equity index annuity is the right place where you're increasing the death benefit. You have to know what the purpose of the money is, and it's not, if you get into that game of performance and benchmarking. We stopped benchmarking years ago.
Yeah.
We started doing, are they on track with their goals? And part of that is the 21-point checklist is, and so we always have as one of their goals is passing their money on to the intended loved ones. I forgot exactly how we word it.
Sure.
So that's why we go through with that. And then we actually make them sign it. We create our own worksheet, and we actually make them sign it. And then we look at it each year. And they don't make changes every year, but we just had a family, the parents are in their 90s, and I said, guys, it's time, well, I worded it in a way where they answered the question, learning from Mike, instead of it from me, because the mother, who's 90, she's not capable of making financial decisions anymore, and I wouldn't trust her on my account, and that's the test. So brought in the estate planning attorney. I was in the meeting with them. We changed all their power of attorneys, their wills, the trusts, to take take the mother out. Now, that's important. That's so important in the continuity of their family. But even for me, if something were to happen to all of them, and me continue to be the advisor on record, because if that's not in order, maybe a state regulator takes over, or a judge decides who's going to be the actual, trustee of the account.
That's it. Yeah. So you're helping the client, and you're helping yourself and your practice. And since you've been doing that, all of this non-financial stuff, how do you think people's attitudes towards you differ? For example, let's talk about that gentleman you have that's in there, that he's just concentrating, got to find the best investment, got to find the best investment. How do you think clients view him versus you when you're doing all this non-financial stuff?
The big difference is that if you're viewing somebody as a money manager, then you're replaceable, in my opinion, because as soon as you don't beat your benchmark, you're out. If you're making sure that everything in their life is in order, almost like a concierge doctor, where you're being proactive. Think about the difference between the doctors now, where you go to them and you're sick, and all they do is cure an illness, okay? Whereas those concierge doctors are proactive. They're out there trying to find things that are wrong, and that's basically what we're trying to do. And everybody knows when you tell somebody you're a financial advisor, you immediately start talking money, and they expect that, okay? When you start doing non-financial stuff, it actually changes the mood, because you're not going after their money. And most advisors, that's the first thing they do. Who's managing your 401k? If you start questions on non-financial stuff that you don't get paid on, it shows that you care beyond what their money is and who they are as people.
That's beautiful. Well, I appreciate you said, because with your experience and the success you've had, Bill, I appreciate you sharing that with everybody, and because you don't need to do this. You are successful without this kind of stuff, but you've recognized that this kind of stuff does make you even more successful. So I appreciate you sharing that. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome, and it's my pleasure. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks. And I just want to comment on something that Bill said as well. Is that I don't know how many of you recall my history, but back in the mid-'90s, I was trying to find anything that I could I was like that young advisor that Bill was talking about, where I was redoing all the research, trying to find out there's got to be a way to beat the market. There's got to be a perfect way to invest. Let's try to dodge the Dow. That's worked for the last 20 years. Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try that. I actually spent about 30 grand on different investment systems, and they were all back tested, just like long-term capital management. They were back tested for years and years and years, and they were working awesome. But what do you think happened, guys? As soon as I bought those investment systems and started to use them on my own personal money, because that's what I was going to do. I was going to grow my wealth. As soon as I started using my own personal money, what happened to those systems as soon as I bought them and started using them? That's right, Jerry. They tanked. They stopped working. And I was sitting at my desk after 3 years of doing this, and about 30 grand in buying these systems, and they worked. I researched them. I researched. I hope you understand, guys. I researched everything backwards and forwards and ups and down, and they worked. They made sense. They were written by unbelievable minds in investing. And as soon as I would get them, they'd quit working. And so I'm sitting there yelling, or basically not yelling, but swearing under my breath and slamming the books down on the table, because I'm looking at this, and after 3 years doing this, trying and can't find anything. My wife said, "What is your problem?" I said, "Well, all these investment systems, I mean, they seem to work. They seem to work. They have great stories. They've been back tested. They've been all this, but they don't work. As soon as I started using them, I would have been just better off buying the market. And guess what she said? What do you think she said when I said that? I would have been better off just buying the market. What'd she say? Do that. That's right. She said just do that. And that's when the lights went out on me. Because I was like, she's right. That's what I should do. But if I do that, here's the problem. If I just buy the market, and then as an advisor, I should be recommending what I'm doing. So if I told my clients to buy the market, was it really viable to have my clients buy the market and then charge them investment management fees? No commissions, John. That's right, no commissions. So I said, okay, I could do the right thing for me, and then I could do the right thing for the clients, but if I do the right thing for me and my clients, I make no money. Or I could do the right thing for me and sell my clients management or, active management. But then I'd be doing what? A good thing or a bad thing for my clients? So my solution to that was saying I need to find, just as Bill just was saying, I had to find some sort of value I could provide to my clients that was above just being an investment manager. And that was one of the reasons I started to collect all these non-financial things that I could do for my clients very time efficiently and effectively, where I could provide value to my clients. Because you know what? More and more and more, we're going to be replaced by, I don't care if you like it or don't like it, by robo-type investing. There might be a human being talking to you, but they're going to be using a robo-investor to invest that money. So let's just face it, that's the direction we're going, not just in investment, but in all sorts of things. Human beings are being replaced by algorithms and everything else. So if we don't have some other way to provide value, we're out into the left. We still got somebody else's. Missy, can you? We got some noise going on in the back there. So you need to provide other ways to provide value, so you still become a viable resource for the clients. Does that make sense to everybody? I mean, that's a huge issue of what we're doing here. Good. So just want to talk about a few things today. We got kind of a potpourri of things to talk about. Several state insurance commissioners have raised the red flag on FMOs emphasizing high interest rate lifetime withdrawal benefit riders and claiming the riders have an annual rate of return. Is that what we do? Is that how we present our products, guys? Is that how 5Q presents the products? Nope. They're also raising the red flag on advisors promoting indexes that link to prior time period in the market that saw tremendous growth. So these all sorts of modified indexes where I think there's some FMOs that have proprietary products that do this. There's a huge insurance company that we use that does this. They come up with these indexes that aren't really indexes. They're black box indexes, and then they go back and show how they did great for the last 15 years. The one that the FMO that had the product that was proprietary, that big FMO that had the product that was proprietary, and everybody wanted to sell it because it was so great. What happened to in the last 2 years? What happened to that index, guys? What happened to that index? It tanked. So guess what all those advisors are doing? We've had so many advisors rush to us from that FMO that told us earlier they couldn't come to us because they had this wonderful product that was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Guess what? Now they have to go back and explain to those clients that what? All those promises they made, all those illustrations they showed were 100% what? Yep, bull, smoke, false. So don't do that, guys. Make exaggerated claims and unsubstantiated claims about regarding product features and recruiting agents to use all the above issues. Does 5Q do any of these things? Yeah, exactly, Bruce. Like you know who's doing, and he's got a bullseye on his back that's going to hit him sooner rather than later. So we don't do this stuff. Why? Why do we sell concepts, guys? It's just like Bill was just talking here a few minutes ago. don't use benchmarks. Instead, talk about goals. Talk about what they're trying to achieve, and that's something that we can do. Because can we ever beat a benchmark year after year after year? No, we can't. But can we help people achieve their goals? To live a lifestyle that they want, to stay ahead of inflation, etc. We can do that, but we can't beat a benchmark year after year after year. And Kevin's pointing out, we use full disclosure on our product. We emphasize the good upside, guys, or the downside? Upside or downside? Yeah, down. We say, hey, listen, you know what? The return isn't going to be as high as you get in the market. Then we talk about the liquidity and the fact that you can't get all your money at one time. Then we talk about the fact that the fees are there. Then we talk about maybe now is the right night, not the right time to buy. So we talk about all the downsides, and they say, wow, these downsides as compared to where I'm at now are less problematic than where I am now. So I like this particular product. So that's what we do. We do it totally differently. So that keeps us out of what? Red flag territory. Investment news was talking about investment advisors who don't actively consider healthcare costs when planning retirement income are missing an opportunity to set themselves apart from the pack. What's important? What do you hear in this little paragraph here? What's the most important thing that you see here? And we've been kind of talking about it already. What's the most important thing that you see here? As far as marketing and building your business. Be different, Gary. Be different. Set yourself apart from the pack. That's right. Set yourself apart. So Nationwide Retirement Institute found that only 10% of affluent retirees had discussed healthcare costs with an advisor. How does that affect you? It's saying that you could easily be different from the pack, set yourself from the pack with how many of affluent retirees? Do some high math here. 90%, Craig, exactly. So the takeaway is this: discuss health of clients and their parents and the costs, and why their parents. Why their parents? Yeah, they're the sandwich generation, right, Bruce? It's a way to get what? Another client. So use the ARP calculator and adjust for inflation. So I'm going to talk about that here a second. So let's say Jim and Mary are retired. Both Jim and Mary are just 20 pounds overweight, and Mary manages her type 2 diabetes with medication. Despite their otherwise healthy profile, they likely spend $171,000 out of pocket in healthcare costs over the next 20 years. Is that counting long-term care or not including long-term care, guys, do you think? That 171 out of pocket costs over the next 20 years. Including or not? That's right, not including long-term care. That's going to balloon if they're including long-term care. So hey, why worry? That's what Medicare is for, right? No, this is 171 above and beyond what Medicare covers, right? So Jim and Mary could begin shaving thousands of dollars off this cost if they followed a few suggestions of the ARP calculator. So I want to show you a tool, guys, here that we can use to really set ourselves apart. So if you go to www.arp.org and you bring up and you just type in healthcare cost calculator into their search box, and I'm going to just walk through it for myself. So here it says get started. So ARP healthcare costs calculator is an educational tool designed to estimate your healthcare costs in retirement. You can include your spouse too. Already retired, use this tool to help predict your costs over the coming years. So get started. So I'm going to get started. How much do I need? Well, 4 easy steps. So let's get started. I am a male. I am 54. I'm not retired yet, no. So, and I'll check, no, I'll keep my spouse out of it. She doesn't want her personal information on here. So I'm going to agree to this. So it's thinking. Okay, so my height is 5. And I was saying 5'8", but I'm actually 5'7". Weight, 170. Smoker? No. Primary state of residence during retirement would be Minnesota. What age do you plan to retire? I'll say 62. What age do you expect to live? I'll say 82. So update my costs. So it goes, my healthcare costs would be $175,000 covered by Medicare will be 75, so that my estimated shortage is 61,000. So do you think this would be something to be interested, that your clients would be interested in looking at? John says, so we only have 8 years left to work with you. But John, you're all going to be millionaires by the time you get that 8 years, so there's no worries, right? And I'm training in Jerry to take over anyway. So, so next, healthcare conditions. So I'm going to go here, and we're going to modify it even more for my healthcare conditions. It's thinking. Okay, so type in my condition here. Click to view list. So I'm going to go to asthma, wherever that is. I've got asthma. And some of you think I have bipolar, but I don't. So let's see if I have anything else here. Actually, I'm pretty healthy other than that, so I can go ahead and click close. So I'll type in asthma. Oops. Okay. And then I'm going to update. So it didn't really change all that much, did it? Oh, wait, once more. So it's mild, so I'm going to update my costs. It's thinking. Ooh, it did modify quite a bit. Look at that. So now I went from 61,000 up to 81,000 just because of asthma, because not all asthma medicine is covered by, and also other things will come, you know, other complications. So evaluate my options. So is there a way for me to reduce my healthcare costs by taking some maybe health issues? So I go here and it says, see what happens. So of course you can change some things you can't control, but others you can. Try selecting healthcare change below. So the only option they gave me to change what I'm doing is get a healthier weight. So apparently they think I'm a little tubby. So I'm going to update by getting a healthier weight. And what it does is it brings it down by how much? Like 12,000. So take action. Now you've seen the impact of some of the healthcare costs. You simply provide more information. So then they're fishing for additional information to mail out to people. But guys, do you think this is going over? How long did it take? First of all, how long did it take for me to go over this? And I'm fumbling through it. It's really the first time I've ever done this. So so would this be some way for you to blow everybody else, all your competition out of the water with this little free calculator? Because is this a big or a small thing, this cost? And again, we said how many people how many affluent are having discussions with this with their advisor? 10%, that's right, Fred. Jerry, 10%. So this is a way at no cost that you can provide value, chop, right in front of them. Makes sense? I mean, is this a good little tool to be thinking about? I would highly recommend that you incorporate that into what you're doing. Now let me get back from current slide. Okay, we just went through that. So I think this is a great way for us to really change the way people look at us. One of the things I want to talk, Pam's saying, is any way to anticipate the cost of supplemental insurance to cover the shortage of Medicare. That, Pam, I'm not sure, because I'm not a Medicare sup specialist, but I'm sure if you contact any of the Medicare sup companies, they might be able to tell if there's anything like that out there. But the calculator I just showed you, really, what I'm saying is that it's a good tool for what, guys? What's it a good tool for? The ARP tool. GOTS getting on their side. Yeah, show you care. And to look what? Standing out. Yeah, so there you go. GOTS, show you care, standing out. That's the main reason we're doing. Because you you guys see how much you know about me and my view of software. What do I think about any software that does a prediction? Crap, right, Kevin? It's crap. Because we can't predict anything. Now, so then if this predictive software that ARP has here is not great for predicting, what is it good for? Separating from the rest, yep, Jeannie. Awareness, Bert. Awareness. It's because discussion, exactly, Terry. So it's saying let's talk about this other cost that nobody else is talking about so we can plan for that. Opening up the topic, right, Brad? So that's what it's good for. Predictive stuff, it's fun to look at. It's not really beneficial otherwise. So because there's no way to predict the future, but it certainly does open up the topic so we can discuss best case scenario, worst case scenario, or be prepared for both when it comes to health. Be prepared for both. Make sense? So I just wanted to talk about, I was very sad to hear Hulbert Financial Digest, which has been around for 36 years, he's actually retiring and no longer doing this. This is the guy that I quote quite often because he goes through and he looks at all the different money managers out there and talks about how they've been faring. So he's actually retiring after 36 years. He said there's so much data out there and so many people saying they're doing the same thing. He just decided he's not interested in doing it anymore, which is too bad. But he did talk about lessons learned the last 36 years. So he said first, after looking at, this is all he's done is compare money managers to money managers to money managers. That's all he's done. He said the first lesson is these are quotes, it is very difficult to beat the market over the long term. Not just very difficult, but extremely so. The reason people deviate from long-term buy and hold is as much psychological as it is statistical. Meaning that what? The reason people deviate from a long-term buy and hold is as much psychological as it is statistical. People want to be in control of what? People want, there's tons of emotions, right, Kevin? But there's tons of psychological data here that we believe that we can control our outcome. So they've actually shown that if you're holding a playing card, you'll bet a lot more money if you're holding it than on a hand than if somebody else is holding the hand. Because when it's in our hands, we all of a sudden feel like we've got control of our destiny. So people don't like to buy or will deviate from long-term buy and hold because they want to. Well, first of all, it's emotional. They panic. But second of all, we believe that we can make a better decision than just letting things ride. The best thing you can hope for is beating the market by a few percentage points. This is crucial since it defines the risk and rewards of trying to beat the market. So he's basically saying what? If the best, not the average, not the normal, but if the best we can do is beat the market by a few percentage points occasionally, then what should we do? That's right, Kevin, it is rare. So if all we're now here's the thing, if we could cream the market, if we could just kill the market regularly, then it makes sense to what? Actively manage. But if we can't, then it becomes really a moot point. And then short-term performance, less than, and his definition of a short-term performance is less than an up market and 2 down markets. Why less than a market? Why does he say short-term is less than 1 up market and 2 down markets? Why 2 down markets? So any manager who's showing you how they've done, that's right, Craig, everybody gets lucky sometimes. If you can show that your performance beats the market during 2 down markets, then all of a sudden you got somebody to listen to. Now, here's the thing. Guess how many managers have done that? 0, right, Bert? 0. So it might be one of the reasons he's retiring after 36 years, because basically he's saying what? Performance is worth what? Diddly-do. Past performance is where diddly-do. Why? Guys, you've heard me talk about this. The guy who won Mutual Fund Manager of the Year, Mutual Fund Manager of the Decade from the year 2000 2010, Mutual Fund Manager of the Decades, out of the thousands of mutual funds out there, he was chosen as the Mutual Fund Manager of the Decade. What happened to him in 2011 and 2012? Got killed. Finished last, right, Kevin? Finished last and finished in the bottom 10%. So I just find an interesting guy who's done nothing but looked at money manager for the past 36 years. This is the conclusions he comes up with. And I know a lot of you out there right now have money managers, and guess what you're doing? What are they doing, guys? What are they doing with this information? No, I can't hear you. I can't hear mine. Guys, am I trashing money managers? No. I've said this over and over and over again. It's just that when we're using a money manager, what should we promise them? What should we promise our clients? That when the market goes up, what will they get? Up. That's right. And when the market goes down, when the market goes down, what's going to happen? It's going to go down. Yep. That's all we're promising. But over time, over long periods of time, we're going to go what more than what? That's right, Tony. We're going to have growth over time. So that's all the promises you should make. Is if you really had a money manager that was that great, how many people would be investing with that? In other words, really, if you had a manager that was that great, what would be their minimum client size? Probably 100 million. So I just find it interesting to hear a guy that's all he's done, and this is what he's pulled from his 36 years of experience. Here's another thing another thing, a way to think about that is Wall Street Journal reported gloomy weather affects analyst recommendations. The study by Stanford University found analysts working in bad weather were about 9 to 18% less likely to issue buy or sell recommendations. Agents and brokers are even worse. So what can we glean from this? Wall Street Journal reports that gloomy weather affects analyst recommendations. Studies from Stanford University found analysts working in bad weather were 9 to 18% less to issue either buy or sell recommendations. Yeah, that's right, Bruce. Hormones and glands. Emotions affect even the professionals, Tony. That's really what it is. So, in other words, anybody who thinks that they can beat the market is full of what? Crap, because they're full of what? Unless they're a robot, they have what? Well, hubris, one thing, absolutely, Bruce. Emotions. And we can't, no matter how hard we try, we cannot eliminate those from our makeup. The other thing I want you guys to know is stop-loss orders. I have a lot of guys say, well, yeah, I protect my clients because they're stop-loss orders. And we've talked about this before. What are they worth, guys? What are stop-loss orders worth? What are they worth? They're scary because the flash crashes that we've been having, what's happening to flash crashes, more or less? Are they happening more or less? More. And when they happen, let's say I put in my stop loss here, but it doesn't get filled down here, and then it comes back up. What just happened to me? In fact, the New York Stock Exchange has gotten so worried. What did they do? What are they doing on February 26th? The New York Stock Exchange has gotten so worried about this. What are they doing on February 26th? Come on, all you stock market geniuses, you better get this right. Because if you don't get this right, then we got a problem. Because you're not a what then? If you don't get this right, you don't know what happens on February 26th to the New York Stock Exchange when it comes to stop losses, then you better not be sitting yourself a stock market. You better not be investing your clients in stocks. Ooh, this is troublesome. New York Stock Exchange is eliminating stop orders from on February 26th. They're getting rid of stop orders because they can't what? And the NASDAQ got rid of them too. So anybody out there managing money, guys, this right here is why you shouldn't be managing people's money. So you hire a professional to do it. But there's so many things you need to keep track of. There's so many things that you need to keep track of, you can't do it and take care of your clients. So you hire professionals to take care of the money, and you take care of your clients. But the big thing is New York Stock Exchange is eliminating stop orders on February 26th, and NASDAQ has already done that. Why? Because they know it's only going to get worse rather than better with these flash crashes. And I think Jeff talked about it here about a month ago, where these high-rise condos that are right next to the New York Stock Exchange, there are companies buying 3 whole floors of those condos. So imagine how much that costs, just so they can get their orders in a nanosecond before everybody else. So they actually are, that's where these flash crashes are coming from, a lot of these, where they're making bets on microseconds to take a little slice off the top of every trade. And that's affecting everybody. So the New York Stock Exchange is actually getting rid of, at least knowing that those things are going to happen more and more, getting rid of stop orders. Here's some great doodles that you can use to make points to your clients. So one is from William Bernstein. Again, he is one of the smartest guys out there when it comes to investing in today's world. William Bernstein. He said he has this little doodle that he makes, which is 0% to 100% losses. So down here it's 0% to 100% losses, and then up this the y-axis is sticking to my guns to I'm out of here. And I think this here you got when you have 0 losses, how easy is it to stick to your guns? Way easy. But as things happen, as things start to lose, so why did he check right here to 2008 financial crisis? Because what is this based on? Oh shoot! What is this X based on? The fact that when we had the 2008 stock market or financial crisis and stock market crash, how many people got out of the market? Over 50% of the people got out of the market at the best time or the worst time. Because the people that got out at the bottom, they missed out on 240% gains since then. They missed out on 240, but you know what? It is the worst time. But who the heck wouldn't have wanted to get out when this was happening? Heck, I didn't know. I mean, they were talking about what? Armageddon. So who was investing their money at this point? Hardly. We're talking about 0.1 of 1%. We're investing at this point because we didn't know money markets. Just think about it. Money markets were going under at that point. Well, how many contrarians were there, Jerry? At that point, when everything was happening in 2008, how many contrarians were there? Yeah, when we say very few, let's come up with a percentage point. Yeah, there you go. That's about how much, Kevin. Because when money markets, which were considered savings accounts, were basically reneging and saying your money's gone, how many people had the balls to be putting money into the stock market when money markets were basically going under? How about nobody? How about nobody? There might have been so this is a great thing to show people because it explains everything in one little squiggle. One little squiggle. Sentiment is a step behind reality. I think we showed a graph similar to this with a different viewpoint here, or same viewpoint but a different look a while back, which is that the blue is what's happening in the economy, and the orange is how people feel. So during expansion, people feel optimism, and then when we hit the peak, people are still getting in the market. Now everybody's in the market, and then what starts to happen? The market's already started to cool by the time everybody got into the market. And now we're down here. The market continues to fall. Now people finally start to say, oh, geez, this is worse than I thought. And then we get to desperation. Then when we hit the trough, people continue to get out, even after the market started to recover and expand again. So what does this tell us? What does this tell us? It tells us we better be very good at what in order to know when to get in and out of the market. What do we have to be awesome at in order to get when to get in and out of the market? Well, I mean, you guys, I mean, you're timing. That's right, Jerry. Timing. Predicting, right, Dale? So we have to be good at, because we never know where this peak is. We never know where this trough is. So the only way we can crystal ball, right, Fred? We have to use our crystal ball, and we never know when these things are happening. How easy is it to predict the trough 5 years later? How easy is it to predict the peak 5 years later? See, it's very difficult on the way down because is the market nice and smooth like this, guys? Or is it down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up? We never know when the up is the actually up and not going to go down even worse. The only time we know we've hit a trough is after the fact. So unless you have a crystal ball, guess what? Can't do it. That's right, hindsight is 20/20. And guess how many of us have crystal balls? Because if any of our money managers had crystal balls, guess who they wouldn't be talking to? I mean, Kevin's talking about the movie The Big Short. Again, they predicted that once. Did any of those guys predict that previously? Because if we could predict these things, guess what? I certainly wouldn't be telling anybody, would you? I would. If I could predict the future, would I tell anybody? No. What would I be doing every single day? Cashing in. So anybody that tells you that they've got it figured out and they're talking to you is telling you what? Anybody that says they've got it figured out and they are talking to you is telling you a what? A lie, right, Tony? A lie. Because if they'd really got it figured out, why would they want to talk to you? You might be a nice guy, but you certainly don't have the kind of money they would require. And you know what? If I can really that good at investing, would I really need your money? Would I really need your 1% fee? Or could I just basically print money if I was really that smart? I could print money. Charles says we can all predict, but the prediction has to come true to be of value. Yeah, that's the thing, Charles. We all predict, and that's why every time the market goes down, there's some geniuses. Why? Because they've been saying the market's going to go down forever, and they were finally right. Exactly. That's exactly right, Charles. We really hate to lose. This is Daniel Kahneman. This is the father of behavioral finance. And look at the curve. That's a little bit tricky to see this because they didn't make the exaggeration they should have. See, loss, gain. So there is pleasure when we get gain, but you see where the pleasure comes across right here? But his point was that pain is where? Is that right where the point is there? No. So here's pleasure. Here's pain at losses. So what's his point here? What's his point here? And this has been proven over, geez, there's countless and countless and countless psychological experiments. They've proven this, that people are people like pleasure, but they're much more afraid of pain than they are seeking pleasure. Yeah, that's right, Charles. It hurts twice as much as pleasure. Pain or loss hurts twice as much as gain gives us pleasure. And yet, what do most advisors, what are they chasing? That's right, Pam. Loss hurts more. They're chasing the pleasure. And do we have any control over gains? So here's the thing. Advisors are chasing things that they have no control over, which is gains, and ignoring the thing that they do have control over, which is prevention of losses. Because can we prevent losses, guys? That's one thing we can do. That's why I'm saying at least 50-50, because at least since we can't control gains, let's at least have 50% of our money controlled so that money, they won't feel that as sharp a pain when the other 50% loses. Mutual fund costs are bigger than they seem. And really, any costs are bigger than they seem. So if the cost is just 1.3 and the market gives you a 10% return, that means every year you're giving up 13% of your gains. Is that little or big? But it gets even worse because should we be looking at 10% rates of return going forward? It's going to be closer to a 7%, and I wish I would have said 7 instead of 6, but so it's going to be closer to that. So a 6% rate of return, 1.3 is going to be 22% of your returns. Not good. You have two kinds of wealth, and this is huge. This is a great graph you could show during the 21-point checklist when it comes to risk versus reward or weighting of the assets. See, when we're 20 years old, we have lots of what kind of capital, guys? When we're 20 years old, we have lots of what kind of capital? Human capital, because we're just beginning to work, so we can make money. We've got a whole lifetime ahead of us of making money. But most 20-year-olds have how much in the cash? Not much. But as we age, every year we age, the time in the workforce starts to go down. So our human capital starts to go down. And hopefully, if we're smart, every year we age, we're putting a little bit of money away. And their point here is that, hey, even at 30, if you took 100% loss in stocks, not fun, but usually you don't have that much money there, so how hard would that be to recover? I mean, if you're at 30 and you only got $20,000 in there and you lose 100% of it, $20,000 isn't that, I mean, it's a lot to a 30-year-old, but it's not nearly as much as losing $400,000 and having less time. So, see, as you age, hopefully you're putting money away, and that's going up, but as you age, your time in the workforce goes down. So the point is that be very careful after retirement. Why? What can't we do in retirement? Or at least not to the degree we'd like to. Yeah, get more money, make more money. We can't go back to work. If we go back to work, what are we going to be working at our full potential? Are we going to be making what we made when we retired? We're going to be able to find a job. Most clients. Now there's a few. There's doctors and there's lawyers and there's financial advisors. We can do it, but the vast majority of people, are they going to be getting jobs that are paying them as much as they were making when they retired, or are they going to get something paying much lower? So that's why we have to be really they have to be careful. And what is our job as an advisor? To help them what? We have to provide value to them, so we have to help them what? Because if you just say, hey, would you like to make a lot of money, guess what they're all going to say? Yeah, I'd like, I mean, who would say they wouldn't want to make a lot of money? Everybody would say that, but we have to help them understand what's really important, pain or pleasure. Are we at the top? Are we at the beginning of our human capital or at the bottom of our human capital? Can we make that money back? Now, more and more, it's getting far easier you would think it's getting far easier to get retirees to notice this, but guess, now I don't know what's happened in the last month, but previous to this, the latest 10% downturn, how much money do you think was in equities for people who are retired, or the boomers? How much money do you think they had in equity? Hey, Missy, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you fine. Yep.
There were some people saying lost volume or whatever.
Nope.
Yeah, 90%, Jerry, you're right, 90%. 90%. So how much did they learn from 2008? How much did they learn from 2008? How much did they learn from 2000? So it's our job to make sure they understand what they want. And that's why we have those 5 questions at the beginning of every sales presentation, which is what? Number 1, we ask them, how much money do you want to lose? And what does everybody say to that? How much money do you want to lose? 0. And then we say, if you did lose money, how quickly would you want to get it back? And what do 90% of people say? That's right, Tony, they say 1 year. And what's our next question? How much money do you want to grow? How much access do you want to have to your money? Do you want to be prepared for just the good times, just the bad times, or both? And what's the only account that can do that? That will if they don't want to lose any money, not allow them to lose money. If they did lose money, get it back within 1 year. Have access to all of it. That's right, an FIA. And guys, when I say have access to all of it, do they really have access to all of it, or do they just have a lot more access to it than money managers, mutual funds, to anything else out there? VAs? So why? Well, it's more access. Do FIAs, let's ask this question, do FIAs give you more access to your money? Even at the first year when you have full surrender, do FIAs give you more access to your money than money managers? Bert says yes. Kevin says yes. Fred says yes. Jerry says yes. Craig says yes. Okay, these are all guys who obviously, not depends, John. Not depends. So why is everybody saying yes? Because they know the presentation. Am I going to tell a client? So we only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So six people out of 100 are saying yes. Where are you, the rest of you? The rest of you better go back and learn the what? So Tony asked them. So Tony, you got to go back and learn the presentation too. Because what if you're in a upmarket, guys, and they go into a long-term care facility? Which one's more liquid? Because when do you need the most money? When are people going to be pulling money out of their accounts? When do they pull out huge amounts out of their accounts? During what? Well, what's the hardest time? Yeah, during long-term care. And if they're up 10%, how does that really help them with their money manager? When they're pulling out 70 grand, 80 grand a year. How does that help them with their money manager when the market's up? It doesn't. And if you have a long-term care rider on your FI, guess what? Which one's better? So we have to know how to present these things to a client, because if all we do is say, hey, you want to get a great rate of return? They're all going to say that. And then the last thing I want to show you here is the look at the bear markets. So we've had lots of bear markets over time. Return to a trough. So the worst, obviously, was the 29 stock market crash and the 2000 crash, 2007. And should this scare you guys? I hope this scares you. Why? If you're in the market, this should scare you. Why? What is this saying? Could happen again. What else is it saying? More often. It's happening what? More often. Why are these things happening more often? Look at it. Back to back, guys. Why is it happening more often? That's right, Fred. Faster info. We get information instantaneously. Everybody's connected. So when the market's going up, what does everybody want to do? When the market's going up, does everybody know the market's going up? So what's everybody want to do? They want to get in, get in, get in, get in, get in. And when everybody wants to get out, what do they want to do? Get out, get out, get out, get out. So guess what we're going to see going forward? Less volatility or more volatility? And of all the things that we can offer clients, what kicks butt when it comes to volatility? That's right, Jeannie. Why? Why, Jeannie? He's saying, and John, FIAs, why? Because what? How do they work? It's not just guarantees. You're right, it has guarantee. Annual reset mark, that's why. It gets us in automatically at the low and gets us out at the high. Guys, it is the most powerful tool anybody can have. Is there any emotion with the annual reset? Or does it just automatically get us out when the market's high and automatically gets us in when the market's low? Is there any other tool out there that does that? And does it have 20/20 hindsight? Do we need to know what the market's going to do this year in order to know at the end of this year we're going to be out if the market's low? I mean, we're going to be getting in if the market's low, and we're going to be getting out if the market's high. Do we have to know anything about what's going to happen in the future, or does it just happen automatically for us? It's the only, we said there's no 20/20 hindsight. Guess what? Annual reset is the only thing out there that gives us 20/20 hindsight, because at the end of the year, it automatically says what? If the market's high, or if the market went up, we're going to be what? In. If the market went down, we're going to be what? Out. And we don't have to guess. We don't have to guess. We can look back, and it's determined. It's going to decide, or it's going to look back at what happened, and it's going to automatically give us the best of the two. And there's not a better investment out there. Now, the big thing I want you to see is the Shiller Cape, which is talking about the PE. So it's the last 10 years average price-earnings ratio. You can see during the big downturns, the Cape was 32, 45, 27, and then the peak was 26. So where are we now? So it was 26. Now with the latest downturn, we're down to 23. But is that still high or low? So this is very predictive of what's going to happen over the next 10 years. And guess what? Is it saying the next 10 years are going to be great, or we still got lots of problems here? But of course, luckily, price-earning ratios are going down because earnings are going up, right, for all of our companies, right? What's happened in the last 3 months to earnings? Gary says, yeah, that's right, wrong. So what's happening to, they're down. They're down. So again, am I saying you shouldn't be in the market? No. So are you saying you shouldn't have money managers? No. Am I saying you shouldn't be actively managing those? No. But how much should we have doing that kind of stuff where we can actually hurt our clients, where they can feel pain? 50%. 50% at most. That's right. Make sense? So guys, why do you think I keep hammering this? So I apologize for those guys saying, yeah, Mike, I get it. I get it. Why do I keep hammering this? About every 2 weeks I talk about something like this. Why? Because it's very easy for us to what? That's right, Tony. Some people don't get it. And even me, when I get it. But even me, when the market's going up, what do we want to do? When I see some money manager's got it figured out, what do I want to do? See, we constantly, everybody has this problem, including myself, where I think, oh wait, this guy's got it figured out. When somebody sends me a mailer saying, yeah, we've got it figured out, I read it and I'm thinking, and then I come back to reality and say, listen, if this guy really had it figured out, he certainly wouldn't be talking to me. So I hope I'm just that little guy on your shoulder saying, you know, let's come back to reality. Make sense? Good. So thanks for being on today. Any questions, concerns? I appreciate you guys all out there working hard and working on a day that a lot of guys are taking off, so I appreciate that. Hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you all on Friday. Thanks, everybody.